We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Sandy Rutherford. She says, cut your crap. Cutting the crap and stepping into your inspired destiny. But the C.R.A.P stands for something else. Counterproductive, really assigned programming. Rather neat, isn't it? That's the crap that you've been carrying around with you that's been blocking your success. And she's here to help you cut that crap and give you the tips and things that you need to know in order to actually step into that success mode. She is a world-class success mindset coach, Cut the Crap mentor, destiny maker, success accelerator, as well as an international speaking best-selling author. Her versatile professional chapters include stints in healthcare, show business, multinational corporate leadership and entrepreneurship, taught and mentored Bob Proctor. Sandy uses her global coaching practice and life-changing programs to show people how they can step into their inspired destinies. She also has a lovely book called Navigating the High Seas. Seas to success. And then she's got a lovely boat there floating on the water. We're going to be talking also about finding your sweet spot and the funk buster. And for people who are just listening, I invite you to go to selfdiscoverywisdom.com and simply put in her name, Sandy Rutherford, Rutherford, and you will see the graphics that we have here that we're also going to be referring to today. You're a lazy woman, aren't you? I mean, you do nothing.
No, nothing at all. I twiddle my thumbs.
You obviously work in your sleep.
But it's a good place to work.
Yes, actually it is. Actually, I
It
find
is.
actually that's a great seeding place, isn't it? And sorting
Absolutely. The
out. So
subconscious goes 24/7. So
exactly. So, how to work in your sleep successfully and not stressfully.
yeah,
And that's a lot to do with how, cutting the crap before you go to sleep. So you're not going to be sleeping in turmoil, but more in productivity, right?
absolutely true. Absolutely true.
So let's talk about the crap and the exact what it means. We all carry it around with us. We've all got these,
Absolutely. We've all got
things
it.
like we've all got it. I don't care how successful you are. Somebody at some point has gone through that, and it's how do we cut that crap? The counterproductive, really asinine programming. Until we kind of get on the right path and in the right flow, the lovely synchronicity of things like riding a wave and riding the vibrations of life, we are generally do step in a lot of doo-doo puddles, don't we?
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. And that can be expected. So, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, I'm sure your audiences have heard the phrase that, it's not what happens to us in life because lots of stuff happens to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's our response to what
Yes.
happens to it.
Yes.
And our response, our ability to respond favorably, positively, productively, constructively, has to do with how much crap we've got overlaying our giftedness and talents. Like,
Mm-hmm.
one of my key messages and why I love to do what I do is that every single one of us, no exceptions, is uniquely and wondrously, miraculously talented and gifted, and there is no limit. I mean, science and
Mm-hmm.
theology, the only two sources you can go to, both agree that we all of us have unlimited talents, that we're barely scratching the
Yeah.
surface. So it's never a lack of talent or
Mm-hmm.
capability that's holding any of us back. It's the crap. It's that counterproductive, really asinine programming that every single one of us has to deal with. So it's the trick is to become more and more aware of what's that programming now that it's getting in my way? So that, once you become aware, and personal development is all about awareness. Without awareness,
Yes.
you can't course correct.
Right,
So once
right.
you become aware of this crap, you can start to course correct.
Hmm. Yes, I believe every single one of us is born with a divine gift. I call it if
Yeah.
we were all given an instrument. It's our discovery to discover what is that instrument, how to play it, and then which orchestra to join, where in all
Hmm.
of our strengths we can come together harmoniously to create a resonating symphony.
Right.
But that journey of life is discovering what your gift is,
Yes, it
how to
is.
use it, whom to use it for. How best does it serve humanity?
Right.
And that is exciting. But what feel we have in our way is societal expectation. Who you should
Hmm.
be, what you should be, where you should be, the value of what you should be. And we're so caught up in the should be's that we actually aren't embracing the what we are.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And a lot of those should be's go against who and what we are. So it's kind of a make believe. You're trying
Yeah.
to live something that you're not.
Yes.
And that, and it from a very early age in life, it starts to become part of our programming that I should go in this direction, not that direction. If I'm in sports, I should be offense, not defense, never a goalie, or I should be in the sciences, not the arts, or whatever it is. All that programming comes in at a very early age, usually by very well-intentioned people called parents,
Yes.
teachers, coaches, community leaders, religious leaders. But more often than not, it's a case of mistaken identity because it's going
Yes.
against who and what you truly are. So, we live in an age where authenticity gets talked about more and more.
Mhm.
It's perhaps an overused term, but it's still a very valid term. Is it who are you really? And until you can be and let out who and what you really are, you're not being truly authentic. Your crap will get in your way because
Mm.
one of the things I have talked about is something that I call, when if we're talking about business, building business,
And let's
then
point out we are the business of our life too. Business isn't just e-commerce and doing business, it's the business of how
absolutely,
we run our lives.
great point to make. Absolutely. And to do that, whatever that business is, or those businesses, because we actually usually are running more than one business of life and other things, you have to
Mm.
capitalize your business. And if you look up capital in the simplest definition, it's productive inputs to create productive output.
Yeah.
So whatever your output is to contribute to being as a parent, to being a terrific parent and contribute in the community, whether it is in the products and services you are bringing to market and trying to change people's lives by virtue of your products and services. Those are your productive outputs. So you need inputs to create the outputs. You need
Yeah.
good inputs to create the outputs. And what we typically think of, I need money, so I need the
Mm.
financial capital. I need the human capital, whether it's my accountant or somebody doing my social media and that sort of thing. You need plant, equipment, tools, CRMs, whatever. You need
Mm.
those types of capital. But one of the things that does not get spoken of and that I have really started to harp on is something what I'm going to call identity capital.
Mhm.
You,
Yes, you
you,
are your
who and what
business.
you are. You
Yeah.
are. You absolutely.
Yes.
You are your business of life, to your earlier
Yes,
point, and you are your business. Whatever you're taking products to market,
exactly.
products and services to market. So your identity capital. What do I mean by that? It's your mindset around who and what you are, and what you're
Mhm.
capable of, and how you can continue to grow and get better and contribute more. And that's unlimited, but we don't pay enough attention to
No, we
that.
don't. No,
But we're not
because
a
we're
static being, right? We're
right,
not a
right. No,
static
no, no,
being.
no. It's the shoulding, not the being.
Yes.
And it's and the thing about authenticity, it is just to be yourself.
Yeah,
To be enough in yourself. And if you feel, there's more in me, there's more in me. I can explore this. Why am I not wondrous about my own life? And
right,
my own adventure, my own self-discovery of who
right.
else I can be. Every venture I've ever gone into, I've gone in blind. I taught myself into jobs that I didn't even know what I was talking myself into. And I either learned on the job or I found out it wasn't for me. But if I didn't try, how would I know? And I
Right.
fear that we stop the trying, we stop the exploring, because we're so fear of making a fool of ourselves or failing that we don't even try. And I think
I
that
know.
is the detriment to us as a human race, is when we don't try, because we
Yeah.
simply don't know. Now, you know in your gut, no, that's definitely not for me. And nothing about that appeals at all. But you look at something else and you go, that's interesting. Could I do it? And immediately the brain, the societal brain, says, who do you think you are? No, you can't. You don't have the
Right.
credentials. Blah, blah,
Right.
blah, 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 and we
Right.
don't try. But
Right.
if we go, how about I just give it a try and see, one foot in front of the other? Let's go and explore. We can make discoveries about ourselves that were so much more awesome, even in our flawsomeness, than we've given
Right.
ourselves credit for.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And we are, again, all capable of so much more.
Mm.
And too often, to your point, we reject.
Yeah.
Most people reject dream goals. They go,
Mm.
oh, I'd love to, have $1 million, leave my job and create $1 million business, or run $1 million business of my own, or I'd love to travel the world, or these dream goals. But more than often, more people will reject those ideas because we can't see how.
Right.
We can't. But yeah, but how would I do this? And we talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
But that's
Instead of
false. That's
inquiring,
artificial mental programming right
right?
there.
The how is like, you don't know how, so go and find somebody who does. Right?
Well,
We'll
yes,
talk
but you,
ourselves
you
out
know,
of it before we go and ask.
absolutely true. And the irony is that you have to actually make a committed decision first before the how starts to come to you. And
Yes.
that's something that Bob Proctor taught, and all of the gurus in this
Yes.
industry will teach that. Decision comes first, but too often we want to see all the hows first before we make the
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way.
No, he
How do you
doesn't.
know that? You know what? All of your listeners, we all have examples
Mm-hmm.
of where we've made a decision, whether it's buying an outfit, buying a new car, a new home, going on a trip, going after a job. We make the decision, like buying a house outside what you think is your comfort zone, your financial comfort zone. But you make the decision. Oh, we're doing it. And then bang, your mind snaps in and goes, okay, well, we better talk to real estate agents. We
Yeah.
better start scouting areas. We better talk to our financial
Mm.
advisors. Blah, 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 right? All of a sudden, the mind goes to work, but it doesn't go to work when you're sitting in that
Yeah.
procrastination, trying to, oh, can I do it? The mind won't jump in for you. And
No.
that's where most people don't realize that.
I call it the two what ifs. What if it all goes wrong? What if it goes right?
Absolutely. I call that the what if vortex.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Neither one is a reality.
No.
It's just your mind spinning. So we
Yeah.
have choice. How we use our mind, what we allow our mind to dwell on, we always have 100% choice. We don't utilize that choice often,
But we
but
don't
we
listen to
always
ourselves.
do.
Yeah. No,
So yeah, yeah.
we don't listen to our inner selves. I think
No,
we're so conditioned to listen to, but what if I fail? What if I make a fool of myself? What if somebody laughs at me? What if I'm ridiculed?
right,
What if I'm this and that? And we've talked ourselves out of it before we've even got into it. And instead of going in, centering yourself, just going in and asking yourself, well, why do you want to do it? Well, on the other side of the mind saying, it's interesting, it's intriguing. I don't know. It's just something about it that really is appealing. And then asking yourself a question, okay, well, what if you actually just step into it and see what happens? All right. Trust
right,
the gut, listen to the gut, have the conversation from the inside out. Don't let
right.
the outside conversation stop you before you've even started.
Now people say, yeah, easily said than done.
Yeah, I
But
know.
here's the thing though. Again, what if I fail? What if I succeed? And everything that comes off those two. Neither one is reality. So we
Right.
do have choice. And here's the thing. And here's a little bit of a how. How do you feel? What happens to your energy, your vibe when you
Mm,
go, but what if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I can't earn enough money and I can't even pay my bills? What if I go up on stage and I forget what I'm supposed to say? All this what if. What does that do to the vibe? It's like, oh, it just weighs you down.
yeah.
And here's such an important point. How productive do you feel
Yeah.
when your vibe goes down?
Zero.
Okay, so yeah, it's like, okay, so you won't take action, and of
No.
course you're going to fail, right? So if you spin the polar opposite using the law of polarity, one of the natural laws, What if I succeed? What if everybody loves what I'm doing and really supports me? And what if nobody laughs at me and everybody's just cheering me on? What if I get way more money than I ever expected?
Mm.
That's not reality either. But which one raises the vibe? Like when you spin that pot, what if I succeed? What if I get way more money? What happens to the vibe? It goes up. Now, how productive do I feel if I'm choosing to dwell on those positive spins? Like, you know what? Let's make this work. Let's get this. Come on, I'm going to start phoning. I'm going to get into action. And boom, you get into action. You are way more productive. So it's a choice. And back to a comment I made a few minutes ago, awareness. It's
Yes.
becoming aware. So when you start to become aware of the, I'm so glad you brought up the what if, because I talk about that and coach on that, this what if vortex. As soon as you become aware, what if I do? What if I fail? And what if nobody? Blah, blah. Catch yourself and replace it with its polar opposite.
Yes.
Choose the positive spin. You'll feel a lot better. You'll take very different action, and you'll get very different results.
I'm always saying is what we feed is what's going to grow.
Yes.
Right. And it's also be careful what you seed. Because if you seed
Mhm.
doubt, doubt will grow. But if
Absolutely.
you seed possibilities and allow, I'm a big thing for allowing. 11 years ago, somebody asked me to join her podcast network, and I go, "What's a podcast?"
Yeah.
And I had no idea. At the time, I had no money, and it cost so much a month to do. Somebody spotted me for the first month. I don't even know how I came up with the rest of the money. And the first show I did was catastrophic. I pressed all the wrong buttons. And doing live shows for 13 months was a brilliant training ground because you'd be in the
Yeah.
middle of a conversation and somebody would drop and or not turn up or this or that. And you had to be on spot, on the moment. You had to deal with it in the moment. There was no time for crisis. You had to step in and keep things flowing and
Right.
deal with it, right? And I thought,
Right.
this is great training ground. And I was hooked on the people I was meeting and everything. And I started my own network. Did I know what I was doing? No. Was there really any template or anybody else out there doing it that I could even look to? I had to navigate it by what it needed and what I needed at the moment. I had to learn how to do. And then I did, and then, oh, I could do that better. I could do it a different way. Or how about if I try this way? This makes it easier. How about I branch out here? And that allowed it to grow
Yeah.
and be what it was meant to be, instead of me dictating it's got to be this, or I can't do it
Right.
until it's perfect, or I've got to have this and I've got to have that. And if I don't reach this number by this day, I'm a failure. I let all of
Right.
that go and just simply took the journey
Right. By allowing it,
by
and then the
allowing.
growing fed on itself. It's like,
Yes,
ooh, look what's happening. Well, maybe I'll
yes,
try this. So
yes,
you start to take advantage of new opportunities, make new
yes,
decisions that you would have made before. But
right.
because you got into this acceleration mode,
Hmm.
so it's just talking about that negative spin again. When you're in that negative spiral, I call it, that you're what ifing to the negative, then and that's all in the conscious. So that's worries and doubts. Then that sets up an emotion at the emotional level. That sets up fear, which plays out in the body as anxiety. And when you are in worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, how productive do you feel? Not very. You start to procrastinate. And you can get into that whole deceleration, disintegration. One of the laws of the universe is we either create or disintegrate. There's no static. There's
Yeah,
nothing in between. So when you're in that, if you don't get yourself out of that mode of downward spiral, you're in disintegration. You're
yeah.
certainly not in creation mode. And
No.
again, there's no stasis,
Well,
but choosing
it's
to
the
switch to
same
the
as
positive.
talk about taking a breath. When we don't take a breath, what happens when we stop breathing? Everything about us clenches. Everything tightens up.
Right,
We're gasping for the breath. And that means there's no flow. There's no oxygen flow, no blood flow, no chi flow, no flow at all, because everything
right,
is crunched,
right,
right? By stopping taking a breath, exhaling, you are now taking in the oxygen, you're taking in the possibilities, you're taking in the insights. The creativity has more space in which to flow within you.
right,
So when we're in doubt or in fear, we're crunched, and
right.
no creativity can happen in that space.
Nope,
We have
nope,
to open up and allow and breathe, and that's when we become aware.
right.
When we allow, we become aware of what we need to do next.
Yes, absolutely true. And just a little pointer here when for your audience is when we're saying stop and just take that breath.
Mm,
Take that breath. and say something to the positive.
Yes.
So if you're dwelling on, I'm just so frustrated, I'm just not doing very well. Big breath. But I'm still frustrated. No, you acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling frustrated. And then spin the positive. Take a deep breath. But you know what? I'm going to succeed at this. I am doing well. I'm going to grow from this. And then just feel what that opens up. The breathing is integral,
Yeah.
but that
Yeah.
positivity is a different energy altogether. And that's an energy flow when you're thinking on the positive.
Positive thinking equals positive living in my mind, because when it doesn't mean that everything is going to go hunky-dory for you,
No.
but it does mean that when something goes wrong, you have more capabilities to see what's wrong and how to put it right. I don't believe that when we fall or make a mistake, that's a failure. I believe a failure is when we give up.
Yes,
When we give in
absolutely
and
true.
give up, that's a failure. When we fall and land on our backsides and we've got to get back up again, maybe for the umpteenth time, okay, I've learned how not to do it. That was a lesson. Maybe it was a hard lesson and the butt's feeling a bit sore.
Mhm.
Maybe I need to change my approach so I don't keep landing that way, and just look at it as a lesson. And every single lesson is is a nugget of information,
Absolutely.
whether it is
Absolutely.
something of not to do or to do, right?
Yeah, yeah. And Bob Proctor always used to say, he used to quote Michael Beckwith, actually. He said, the coping strategy is that again, to your point, there is no failure until you
Mm.
quit.
Yes.
So everything is learning. Now,
Yes.
Michael Beckwith would say, harvest the good,
Hmm.
harvest the good,
Hmm.
forgive the rest, move on. So when you fall down for the umpteenth time,
Yeah.
okay, there's something, what can I find that's good in it? So I've actually challenged numerous clients when they've had a real bad dip, bad from their perspective. I'm not viewing it that way, but they
Mm.
are. I'll say, I want you to find 20 positive things about what's
Mm.
going on with you right now. And they've inevitably, some give me resistance,
Yes. Resistance
but
is futile.
inevitably, yes. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. I'm a major Star Trek fan. Resistance is futile. But they inevitably come back and go, oh my God, that was such a good exercise for me to do. I didn't want to do it and I struggled to find it at the beginning, but then I got into it. And I went, oh, you know what? There's more. Oh, and then that's another finding. That's another thing that's positive. And you know what? Actually, that leads me to, and then it just starts to balloon from there.
The spiral upwards instead of the spiral downwards, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Harvest the good.
Harvest the good. I do coaching now and again, but this has taken over my life completely. But spiritual coach by God's design. And one of the things I do is the Myers-Briggs true colors, the 4 key personality traits. Because I
Mhm.
think if we can actually understand our personality, the way we perceive information, way we interact, well, we will actually understand our style. And that, somebody else may be saying something different to us, but we're actually talking about the same thing. It's adjusting to other people's language. But I would get people to write in one column all the negatives and everything that's wrong in their life. Just write it in one column on the left. On the right, write everything that you're grateful for. And you see the small list compared to the long list. And then I would simply say to them, which one are you feeding?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Because if you're going to keep feeding the misery, I guarantee you misery will stay around.
Yeah. It's a, it
It
is
loves
as simple as
company.
that. Yes, it does. It does. And it can take over
Yes.
insidiously
Oh,
so, right?
and,
Insidiously
and
so.
has no rational, we're looking at a human race right now that has more anxiety and more depression than I think ever before. And if we've also had more turmoil than we're used to.
Mhm.
It's been a global turmoil, not a World War I,
Mhm.
where certain countries were, in that horrific war, which we're seeing with the Ukraine right now. But, with the pandemic, it was a group,
Yeah.
isolation,
Yeah.
a group paranoia, a group um, dismembering everything, where
Yeah.
instead of coming together, we've torn apart. And I think a lot of people are riding this wave of anxiety that leads to depression because we're catching the vibe that's out there. And it's like, change your frequency. Change
Mhm.
your frequency. If you feel that that vibe is out there right now and it's pulling you down, you need a lot more positives in your life to help
You
you
do.
change your frequency to
You
get
do.
on the, well, what am I going to do about it? rather than being powerless.
And to attract, absolutely, and to attract differently, because
Yes.
law of vibration, one of the
Yes.
laws of the universe, it's
Yes.
physics.
Yes.
Law of attraction is actually physics. You can
Yes.
only attract what's on the same frequency.
Right.
So if you're
Same
in a negative
wavelength.
frequency,
Yeah.
yes, if you're in a negative frequency, on a negative frequency, you will attract that negativity.
Yeah.
So it really is as black and white as that you need to be aware. I tell my clients, put a little sticky note on your computer, on your fridge, on your bathroom mirrors, on your car. How's my vibe?
Yeah.
Become more and more aware of your vibe, because then you can do. And we talk about the funk buster. You mentioned
Yeah.
at the beginning,
Yes.
which is something I'm giving everyone. It's a fabulous, cool tool that all my
Mm.
clients use and love. It's very simple but very powerful, and it's how you can positively affect your negative vibe. What do you do about it? Bust
Mhm.
out of that funk, right? And the more you do that, again, you'll get into a higher level of productivity and enjoyment. By the way, a lot more joy to be had in positive vibes, high vibes, than down in negative vibes.
And it's quite simple. For the people who are just listening, you've got these circles that are intertwining with one another, all forming patterns, and then right in the center is your sweet spot, and then a
Mhm.
kind of a
It's
green
an
circle.
amazing vibe.
The rate this is, I'm on a high vibe. Yes, definitely. We all want to be there. It's great. I recommend it. Come on in. And then you've got the green one, what you love to do, because what you love to do, you will do no matter whether you're being paid for it or what, because you love to do
Right,
it. It's your driving force.
right.
What you are really good at. Stop doing something, well, I can do this mediocre. What are you good at? Because that's really what your instrument is, right? And
And
then
the
how
kicker
you can,
is, and the kicker is what you're good at and want to keep getting better and better at.
yes, yes,
That's an important
what
part.
you can grow at, like that
Yes.
instrument. You play
Yeah.
it well, but with even more practice or
Mhm.
aligning with other people and jamming with them, you're going to
Right.
discover notes you never heard before.
Right.
And then how can you help people? And this is a big one for me because I really honestly do believe we are here of service to each other. And
Yes, we
we are
are.
here to aid, help, and I don't want to say push, but the word is there, but it's not push. It's invite. Inspiration begets invitation. When
Mhm.
you are yourself inspired by life and you love what you're doing and you're on that vibe, it's inviting other people to rise up to that frequency, make discoveries of
It's
themselves.
contagious. Yeah.
It is. And
Yeah.
that invitation is like, well, if you can be there and I know where you've been, and you managed to come from that lows up to those highs, and you're living in this joy now, and it's not a sugar high, you're not going to come crashing down. It is a high that you are not going up or down on, but resonating out and a lovely circumference of a circle and hugging everybody with. That invitation is contagious. And that invitation to you can feel like this too, if you're willing to take the journey.
Right. And it's easier to take the journey when you're in your sweet spot. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's such a key component. Most people I talk to, and I'm coaching, commitment is the biggest issue. And
Mm.
Napoleon Hill talked about commitment or decision, all indecision, as all the big gurus in the industry have talked about it. It's the number one thing
Yes.
for success. And so, are you 100% committed? Oh, of course I am. But over time, you're seeing excuses get in your way.
Yeah.
So why do we let excuses get in the way? Well, one is that identity, self-image stuff that we mentioned earlier. I'm not sure if we're going back to that. But the other one, to your point right now, is a lack of clarity on what you truly desire.
Mm. Mm.
It's called clarity of desire. You need to be crystal clear
Yeah.
about what you want to do, to create, to provide a value. You need to be crystal clear with your goals. It's not good enough to say, well, I'd like to be financially healthy. Me too. We all do.
Yes.
That's a condition. It's not a goal. And your mind cannot, your powerful mind, 100% of us have, bar none, will not go to work for you when you're that vague. It can't pop new ideas for you. But if you want to say, I want to start making 500 a month, 5,000 a month, 50,000, 500,000, whatever you want, and there's no right or wrong, then that's the clarity. But the clarity of desire, which gets at the sweet spot, that desire that's coming from within. It's
Yes.
the passion, and feeling truly is the secret, which is a great book by Neville
Mhm.
Goddard, if you haven't heard of it. And that sweet spot exercise that all your listeners will get. It's a PDF and you can use it. It's really a extremely helpful exercise to get at finding your sweet spot, which is the intersection of, as you said, what you love to do, what you're good at and want to keep getting better at, and how you can use those two to serve people. When you're in your sweet spot, it's an amazing vibe, and your level of commitment goes way up. I'm dying to commit more because I'm in my sweet spot. So to drill down, allow yourself, allow, using your word, give yourself permission to explore. What am I? What do I love to do? And don't reject any ideas. Don't reject anything. Well, I love hand gliding. Great, write it down. Like, yeah, but write it down. Don't reject any ideas when you do this exercise.
Well, it's just the feeling, isn't it? Like while you're hang gliding, that feeling you have, it's not necessarily you want to go hang gliding all the time. You want the feeling that you had when you were hang gliding in something that you do as a career that you can commit to.
Absolutely. So when you do write these things down without rejecting, when you go back to them, you go, well, I don't want hand gliding, but some lateral thinking happens because you're like, no, but what's kind of similar to that? Yeah, great point you just made. What makes me feel the same as that? Is this, maybe I could do that. I love doing that, right?
Yes. Well, going to your point with manifesting money, people will talk about money. And the thing is, I think, yes, we all need money. Roof over the head, food, clothes, this, etc. We need money, right? But if you're just addressing money, you can go be a drug dealer, an arms dealer, and you can make a lot of money. There's no conscious to that. What we want is to make conscious money, which means that we're making in a conscious way that is going to serve others while also serving ourselves. And I think we really need to put out to the universe a little more clarity on what we are wanting. Yes, we would like the energy of money to propel me forward in what I desire to do, right? And I think it's, be clear on what you are asking for. I have the opposite program. I am in my sweet spot. I'm doing what I love. This is my passion, my conviction, my everything completely. I feel completely enriched and really abundant, but the universe hasn't got the money vibe yet. But it doesn't stop me from doing it. Because I am compelled to do this now, because it took me 57 years to discover, and all that I had done before got me to a point to allow me to do this, and be passionate about it, be good at it, do it for 11 years that I love doing it. And I will hope to do it until the day I die. Blind, deaf, and dumb, still doing this, whatever happens. But it doesn't make me money, which there's something, the universe we've lost in translation here, but I do feel so very enriched and abundant because when you've got this information like we're sharing right now out to somebody who's at a crossroads in life, I'm stuck. I don't know where to go. Should I do this? Should I do that? But they're not going in and listening. They're not exploring their options. They're not taking they don't know how to. I need help. I need someone to give me direction. Hello, she's right here, Sandy, right? This is why I do it, for those people that are in that transition who need the help so they can be abundant and enriched in their own lives.
And I think that's a phenomenal service.
You are giving a phenomenal service.
Here's a mindset shift. We don't work for money.
No.
And I used to hear Bob Proctor say it's the worst thing in the world to work for money.
Yes.
We don't work for money. We work for satisfaction.
Oh, boy.
We provide service for money.
I've got some satisfaction.
Money follows value. So improve your value proposition, what value you're bringing to the marketplace. And then the law of compensation kicks in here too, right? The law of compensation says you will be compensated in proportion to three things. One, the need for what you do. Sarah, what you're doing, big need for this kind of thing, getting more and more of this information and help out there.
Yes.
Two, your ability to do it. And three, the degree to which you are replaceable. If you just focus on number two, because you already know number one, there's a need for what you do. If you focus on number two, your ability to do it, that gets at the being better and better at. I love what I do. I know I'm good at it. I want to keep getting better and better and better. Number three looks after itself. And that's the law of compensation. Monies will flow to you because you've become irreplaceable. You're a go-to person. So in
Right.
whatever you're doing, whether it's sewing circles or
Yeah.
or running billion-dollar companies, doesn't matter. Just do
Yeah.
whatever you're doing to the
It, it,
best
I'm sure you've heard
of
this before,
service.
but everybody, when I started podcasting, is like, well, why aren't you like this person? Why aren't you doing it that person? Why are you only doing, and everybody telling you how to do it. And I go, everybody else has taken this is Sarah, this is how Sarah does it. And you can take it or leave it. I won't be offended. My shows are long because we share so much abundance in each of
They're
those
rich.
shows.
Yeah.
They're rich in content. And that is for the person who is needing that enrichment, not for the
Mhm.
people who are looking for a quick fix, a quick this or a quick that. If you're not willing to invest the time in you, the process in you, the journey in you, you're going to be constantly flapping your wings by trying
Right.
to take shortcuts. There is no shortcut. There are easier roads. There are easier processes. There are things that can get you there quicker, but you've got to invest the time, the effort, the money, the commitment in yourself so that your instrument can serve others.
That's raising your identity capital, which will serve you well. The
Yeah.
more you raise your own identity capital in your business or in whatever you're doing, your business of life, the more you can create for yourself and the more you take control.
Yes. We are our business, no matter what our business is, whether it's business
Mhm.
of life or whether we actually are running a company. If people can't click with you, they're not going to do business with you. You
Right.
are the shop window. You are the receptionist. You are everything.
Right.
Right? And if people don't get your vibe, or they don't feel your authenticity, or they feel that there's a disconnect somewhere, and they feel it, maybe they can't always put their finger on it, they feel it, then they're going to go look elsewhere. So we owe it to ourselves to be the best version of ourselves we can be authentically, not
Yes.
trying to bend ourselves in a pretzel to be what others we think they want from us. Been there, done that. Believe me, it's backbreaking. It really
It
is.
is. And
And
it's not very fulfilling.
you lose yourself, quite simply. You lose yourself. And then you're so confused of who you are anymore because you've been so busy trying to be what everybody else wants you to be and failing at it. Right.
Right.
And now they're angry at you because you're not that person. You're not the same person they first met
Right.
because you went and changed yourself for everybody else. Be who you are. Everybody else is taken. You're unique in your own beautiful way. Every single person, like our handprints, they define who we are, identification, our frequency.
Right.
There's trillions of frequencies out there. Our frequency. There are many, many apparatuses out there that can pick you up, that can heal you, that can give you energy, that can do things for you purely by your energy frequency.
Mhm.
Right? So you are unique. Stop trying to be like everyone else. You can be inspired by what somebody else is doing or how they're doing it, and you can integrate it into what you are doing because it
Absolutely. We do that all the
works,
time. Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
still got to be your identity
Yeah.
of how you do it.
And people, that intuition is vastly underutilized. It's misunderstood. It's pushed out. Oh, the intuition. No, no,
It's
that gut
considered woo-woo
feeling.
or wokeism. Please.
Yeah, no, that's your exactly. Your gut feeling is your authenticity and your inner voice. And here's the beautiful truth. Your
Guidance.
inner voice will not mislead you
Can't. It's
because
truth.
it's based in truth.
Yes.
It's based in
Yes.
truth. So we've got to listen to that inner voice more and more. And what we're talking about here is self-image. But I have a lot of people ask me, because I'm a mindset coach, trained with Bob Proctor, worked with Bob Proctor. Well, there's all sorts of aspects to mindset. Yes, absolutely there is. There's different things that we work on. But by far, no comparison, self-image is the biggest thing that we'll work on.
Mm-hmm.
Because self-image is your biggest asset and it's your biggest block.
And
You will
detriment. Yeah.
only go as far as your self-image allows. And by self-image, we're not talking about, the one in the mirror and this one.
Yeah.
No, it's the one that's buried in the deep recesses of the subconscious mind that I'm a this, I'm not a that, I'm creative, I'm not very creative. I'm, all of this programming that's been in there for decades. You can't go beyond that self-image. It's like
No.
computer. But just
No.
like a computer can only do what it's programmed to do, upload new
Precisely.
programming, like
Yes.
do self-image programming, and you will vastly change your own capabilities.
Everybody knows me as the knowingness girl. When I'm interviewed, who I am, the knowingness. What is the knowingness? And the knowingness to me is allowing the universal wisdom to come through our soul into our heart of truth. It goes into our spirit of action, and it extracts from our mind what our mind needs to know when it needs to know it. It
Hmm.
is the divine truth of knowingness where you don't need to validate, verify, justify. It is. And when you're
Yes.
in that spot of just is, how do you know? Why do you know? What? I don't need to. I don't need to. It just is. There is a sense of peace, a sense of the whole chakras lining up. There's a sense of just like a very deep breath. And when you're there, do not second guess it.
No, no. But the mind kicks in. Knowing about what
Ah,
if, and the doubts start to come, right?
ah,
It's that blasted mind.
yeah, I know.
We work with clients all the time. Get out of We're working with them to get out of their head and into their heart, because it's the
Yeah.
heart that's true, not the
Yes.
head.
Yes.
The head has all this, conscious, this programming is coming out from there. That your spinning is all coming from there. You've got to get out of the head and into the heart, and that's where the truth is.
We are, as a human
With that.
society, raising our consciousness. This is why there's so
Mhm.
much what we call Haglas right now, which is Celtic rune disruption.
Mhm.
And the universe gave me a saying some years ago, the universe is shaking us up to wake us up, for us to step up, to change it up, and to grow up vibrationally and grow up as a human race. Stop whining so much. All that you need is out there. All that you
Yes.
need is in here. So
Yes.
stop bitching and whining and do something about it, right? But the shaking up is the shaking up between those that will never do anything about it and those that want to rise up to a higher consciousness. What they're realizing in that embracing that higher consciousness is that sometimes it hurts. And it does hurt to know that you've been living a lie all your life because you've been living societal's dictation and not your own truth, not the divine cosmic truth. And also when we wake up to realize how mean we are to each other, how cruel we are to each other, and we become more aware of everything that is out there. And in that transition of that consciousness raising up to that higher vibration from going on, the shock of what we're doing and what we've been doing to ourselves and getting to that level of I'm now empowerment to do something about it. But we are in that transition at the present moment, and that's why we're still in high class of disruption. But rather
Mhm.
like house cleaning, or when you're starting a new program, you have to clear out the old that is no longer in existence, that no longer serves, that no longer applies. And it's dirty work. But afterwards, when the house is clean or the program is cleared and you've got a nice blank slate in which to program again, it is such a wonderful feeling of, I am now in control of this canvas.
Yeah, you know what? And just to build on that, because we work with clients, I mean, first of all, when when you start to become aware of, oh, I've been really awful here,
Mm.
or geez, I tell clients all the time, don't come down on yourself. You are where you
Yes.
are.
Yeah. It's what
The
you
past
knew at the
has
time.
no,
Yes, right.
yeah,
You know
and
better.
the past has no bearing on the future unless you
Exactly.
let it. So,
Yeah.
it's done. What's done? You can't
Yeah.
change it.
No.
So celebrate. As soon as you find out, oh, was I ever awful?
Yeah.
Celebrate that. What do you mean
Yes.
celebrate it, Sandy? Celebrate that you've just become
Mm.
aware. And once you
Yes.
become aware, you can course correct.
Yes.
So when you start the course correction, what's nice is you don't have to go back in and undo all that stuff. We
Mm.
don't, in the work I do, we do not revisit all the crap, the
Right.
old crap. We are forward looking and say, well, what do you need to be? What do you need to
Mm.
become? Where do you need to focus
Mm.
in order to achieve the kinds of dreams you're now looking at wanting to achieve? Well, that creates a whole new aspect of programming, that the more you work on that programming, it will eventually replace, because you're uploading new programming that replaces the old programming. So that's the nice thing. You don't, for those of you listeners who went, oh, but I don't want to go over, the stuff I've done in the past, and feel, no, you don't have to do
No.
that.
It's done.
It's
It's
done.
yesterday.
We're future. We're
Yes.
looking forward, not back. You look in the rear view mirror all the time, you're going to crash. We don't do that.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Don't do that.
And
Yeah.
all we have is the gift of the present is in the now.
Yes.
It's the
So
present.
act now. Yeah.
Yes, yes. The present is the gift, right? The now.
Yes, it
And
is.
what we do in the now is the seeding of the next moment. And if we want the next moment to be in fluidity and to grow, then we have to be conscious of our now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's all we know we have is now.
Yeah.
So, my message to anybody I talk to is stop wasting time. You don't know how much time you've got. And Bob Proctor used to tell a story about his grandmother. When she was 64, his granny, he said, she would always say, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be around. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. She lived till 94,
Yeah.
40 years.
My mum was like that,
When,
95.
yeah, when Bob was 16, he had a best buddy, also named Bob, also 16, who was driving down the highway going towards Toronto and smashed into overhead, and was gone.
Yeah.
He thought he had 80 more
Uh,
years.
uh-huh.
He had 30 minutes from that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we don't know, not to bring down the vibe here, but we don't know
No.
how much time we've
No,
got.
but
And
that's why we
other thing,
appreciate the moment, though, isn't it? You know,
well,
if
yes,
we're worrying about tomorrow, we're not seeding the possibilities today. You know, what we do is we
absolutely.
we seed, we water, we nurture, and what
Right.
grows grows. Make sure it's not weeds. Make sure it is something that is
Yeah,
really
because weeds will
fruitful.
spread fast if
Well,
people,
weeds will spread
yeah.
very fast. And the thing is, if you look at every day as a gift, thank you. I wake up every morning with gratitude. Thank you. I
Mm,
woke. I woke up today.
right. I
I've got
opened
a
my eyes
day
today.
before
Oh,
me, right? And
right.
it's
Yeah.
what we do with our day. Let's concentrate on the now and what we do in the moment. And what will be tomorrow will what will be. And it's in our hands of what we feed and seed. It's not in our hands of when our door closes.
No, no. And so the time is now, and
Yes.
where so many people fall down, especially women,
Hmm.
is we're not putting ourselves first.
No.
But bottom line is your success matters. My
Yes.
success matters. It matters on every single level of our well-being, from spiritual to intellectual to emotional to physical. It plays out on all planes. And your success, because it's playing out on all planes, it affects everybody whose lives you touch,
Yeah.
personally and professionally. So stop putting others first. Women in particular, men do it too. But stop putting others first. Your success does matter, and the time is now. So start
Yeah.
putting yourself now first.
Be that inspiration. That is
Yes.
somebody else's invitation.
Yes.
Step up in your own light. Be bright. You never know how far that light is going to shine on someone's darkness. You know, show
You
your
don't
love
know.
and your passion. I interviewed a wonderful girl called Keshi. I don't know if you ever watched America's no, it's not the AGT America. Yeah, America's Got Talent. And I interviewed her in 2016, and she was a burn victim on a plane.
Yes, I
Only
saw. What a fabulous story. Oh my
right.
gosh. Yes.
And I've
Yes.
interviewed her 3 times, and each time she
Wow.
leaves me with something, to very, very profound. But I
Wow.
remember when she first came on to America's Got Talent, and she's very visually scarred. There's
Yes.
nothing add and about it. It
But an
actually
amazing
shows,
voice.
yeah, but it shows the growth of Simon in the past, where he was very, very, conscious of the look. And the thing is, people that saw the look and, everybody,
Yep.
and then she told a story, and then she sang, and
Yeah.
all the beauty and all the music that saved her life, all the reason why she was chosen to live came out in her
Still
voice.
brings tears to my eyes.
I
I've
know.
got goosebumps right now. Yep.
I,
Yep.
I interviewed her now with another burn victim called Bobby
Wow.
Henline, who is a veteran that was blown up. He lost all his comrades there, and he burnt right to his skull, lost part of his arm. And he takes jokes about, he became a comedian. He jokes about taking skin from his butt for his eyelid, and things, running fingers through his non-hair and all of that. And I put them on together, and people who've listened to that show have said they cried, not for because they felt sorry for them, but for their zest of life. They live
Yeah.
in
It's
pain
the
every day.
inspiration.
I mean, she says to me something, when we get an itch, how it irritates us. Oh, I've got an itch. Then something she said, I itch all the time, 24/7. It never
Yep.
stops.
Yeah.
Now that's enough to drive anyone mad. Right. And yet
Sure
look
is.
what she did. Look at
Yeah.
who she is, and look at the example she is. She went to university. She's an inspiration for other people. You know, don't be defined by the things that happen to you in life. They've happened to you for a reason. They're to discover your courage. They're to
Hmm.
discover your abilities. They're to discover your strength. They're to
Hmm.
discover your true inner person. And that person who you become because of it, whether it's abuse or whether it's um, fires or whatever has happened to you, the person you have become is the person you were meant to be and doing what you are meant to do. It happened to you. Don't make it your identity.
Absolutely true. And to all your listeners, this applies to all of us. You don't have to have a big story like
Yes.
Keisha or anybody
Yeah.
else. You
Yeah.
can you can have a pretty, what you may consider pretty average, pretty
Yeah.
boring, still applies to you. Dig
Yes.
deep. There's so much within
Oh,
you to
so
bring
much more.
out.
Yeah.
So much more.
Yeah. We
So
sell
much more.
ourselves short all the time, don't we? And I think, I'm of that generation of who do you think you are? Stay in your own lane, little woman. And also I lived in South
Mhm.
Africa for a long time at the height of misogyny.
Yes.
And it was very much about, what women were there for. And I'm 68, so I'm from that era where we fought to be recognized in the world of. And we really did have to fight for it. And many women became emasculated to try and prove themselves in the workforce.
Mhm.
And what we've learned now is that being our feminine selves, being who we are, we don't need to put on the three-piece suit. We don't need to address men in a men's tone. That we
No,
can speak to them as women with just as much content and context and everything else, and draw that attention by being ourselves, because
absolutely.
the vibration and the aura of who you are will command that.
I absolutely, and I just love the quote: "If we want to change the world, empower a woman."
100%. And there's a lot of women being empowered right now. I actually
Yes.
got a saying at the present moment with all these men out there trying to suppress women, right? The baby's out of the womb. You can't put it back.
Yeah, that's true.
We're reborn. We're
Yep.
reborn, and we're not going to take this crap
Right.
anymore,
Right.
right? So,
Absolutely. And by the way, there's a lot of great men out there too that
oh
are
yes, they
helping
are.
us, but
Oh
yeah, the ones
yes,
that are standing in the way,
yeah,
move aside.
yeah. No,
Move
I've
aside.
interviewed many of them who are very much for women and stand by women's
Yeah.
side, and it's wonderful because they actually understand the empowerment and also the stability in a woman. And we are in the era of woman.
Mhm.
We are in the era of Aquarian of women, where we will be the ones that will take the reign in the next few hundred years.
Mhm.
And a lot of that is because we actually do have a lot of common sense about us. We have the ability to do a lot of things at the same time, but we
Yeah.
generally always come from a place of compassion.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
because women are relationship focused.
right. And, men have been brought up to be warriors, to providers and warriors. And they became warriors instead of warriors. And we can't give them a bad rap because that's the way they've been taught. So we need to change that programming in our children,
Yeah.
in our sons, um, in what we will accept from a man, and we will change that tide to where we will see a good balance. But first and foremost, we have to find that balance within ourselves.
Yes, we do. It's got to start from within, with each and every one of us.
And for a lot of people, it's too scary to go in. I don't know what's in there. Well, you're giving yourself a bad rap. There's something beautiful in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, there is.
And let
Absolutely.
her out, let her out.
Open those gifts. You know
Yes,
what? When kids are in public school in grades 1, 2, 3, around grade 3, kids will get separated out for those that are gifted and they'll be tracked differently,
yeah,
right? They accept their gifts. They just go on, oh, I'm gifted, and they accept their gifts. We all are gifted in
yes.
many ways.
They just haven't.
Accept your gifts. Just
We don't
move them.
know the discovery of our gift. Just because it's not found in kindergarten doesn't mean it's not there.
No, and there
Yeah.
isn't just one.
No,
You've got hundreds and hundreds of gifts that you have yet to
to
open.
discover. Yes. Oh, and
Holy
when you do,
smokes, man.
like
Yeah.
I interview an awful lot of people with autism, and it's blown my
Mhm.
mind. And I realized that um, one of the common trends is they're generally very focused on something they love to do,
Mhm.
and it's always very creative, extremely creative. And they're very selective of the people that are around them. And they don't like to be around the masses of negative vibration. And I think we're looking at that as a disability. I'm looking at that as an ability.
Absolutely. That's a gift.
Yes. And maybe
Yeah,
we should pay attention and learn something from them. It's not about how many followers or how many numbers you have. It's about how many quality people
yeah,
that have your interest at heart, that you have their interest at heart that are in your circle.
absolutely true.
So
Absolutely true.
there's a
You
lot
know,
of things that we've got to stop buying, isn't there? We've got to stop buying this. You've got to be this to be successful. You've got to be that to be successful. Success on the outside. And I've interviewed them again with the 3,000 shows. I've interviewed them where I worked my butt off to reach the top. I was top of the game. And I thought, why am I unhappy? And I gave it all up and went and did something I really love to do. And now I feel far richer.
right,
Right?
right,
Because they bought into that Kool-Aid illusion that more
right.
is more. When we realize that less is so much more, and we're talking about less in the outside things making you happy, but more the inside, the abundance of the inside, which is so bottomless.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
It is.
And then you tap into that joy. It doesn't matter what you're doing. When you know why you're doing it and you're compelled and committed to doing it because you love it, there's no stopping you.
You are unstoppable. Well,
Yeah.
this gets back to when you're in your sweet spot, you're
Yes.
unstoppable. Just
Yeah.
try stopping somebody when they're, and we all can recognize people. Like it's really obvious you are in your sweet spot, Sarah,
Took me a
and I'm
while
in
to
my
get
sweet
here.
spot.
Yes. Yes.
And we can all recognize people in our lives,
Yeah.
personally or professionally, that when you take a look, you go, oh, you know what? They are in their sweet spot,
Mm,
right? They are just so centered,
yeah.
so committed, so driven, so passionate, so joyful. It's like, do you want some of that? You can
So,
have that too.
and unapologetic because we've got nothing to apologize for,
No,
right? I love what I
when you're
do.
in service,
Yes.
what's there to apologize for?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I
yeah,
think, again, that's something, with women especially, permission and apology. Let's throw those two things out. The only permission you need is from yourself, not from anyone else.
right. So Oprah calls it the disease to please.
Yes.
Stop.
Oh,
Stop that disease to
oh,
please.
yes.
It's
I
not
wasted
serving you. And
so
if it's
many
not
years.
serving you, it's not serving the world because it's holding you
Exactly.
back.
Yes.
So you are not serving anyone, yourself or the world, when you are in that disease to please.
Exactly. And you please no one, I promise you, because
Yeah,
everybody is disgruntled because you're not what they want you to be, because it's not who you are, right?
right.
So you're lying to yourself. And the more you are in your sweet spot, the more your cup runneth over and more
Yeah,
people that benefit
absolutely.
from you. So it is not selfishness, it's self-preservation, it's self-direction, it's self-love. And when we
Right.
step into self-love, that love is something that we have to share, and we
Yes.
share it out in every possible way that we can. And more people that step into that, imagine what kind of world we'd be.
Oh, just imagine. That's just such
Yes.
a glorious vision.
Oh,
And no,
yeah.
it's not selfish in the slightest. In fact, it's the opposite.
Yes.
You know that airplane analogy when the
Yes.
oxygen masks drop? You got
Hmm.
to look after yourself first in order to serve others. If you're in your sweet spot, if you're feeling good and passionate and committed and wanting to serve and help and contribute, do you think the rest of the world benefits from that? Yeah, so it's not selfish at all. It's the opposite,
We look at
contrary to our
the
programming.
Oprah Winfrey's, we look at the Gabor Mate, we look at the Rick Sheltys, we look at the Bob Proctors, we look at all of these people, the Wayne Dyer is a big fan of. And we look
Yes.
at all of them, and every single one of them has had a struggle to get where they are.
Hmm.
They all had to step into their awareness. They all had to let go of old programming. They all had
Yes.
to release themselves from pain, but they all looked at it as lessons learned
Yes.
to help them move forward. And we
It
look
was a
up to
springboard
them
for
now.
them.
Right. They're
Yeah.
no different from any of us.
No.
They've just got there more publicly than we have, right?
Exactly.
They're more public how
But
they
not at the
should.
beginning. They were
No,
public in the
no.
beginning. It's when they hit, such
Yeah.
such heights
Yeah.
that it became very public. So yes, to your listeners,
Yes.
it's every one of us starts at that same place.
Yes. And Oprah is one that actually did it very publicly on her shows.
Yeah, oh,
Her
absolutely.
journey of spirituality and the meaning of life and everything, she went from being kind of that frivolous type of show into really the soul,
Oh,
the soul and the
absolutely.
spirit and the heart. And
Yeah,
she took that journey, she took people on it, and she did
yeah,
it
yeah,
publicly. But
yeah.
she paid her dues enough to be able to take it in that direction, right?
Absolutely. Just love
So
what she does.
there is no quick fix. There's no downloadable app. It is a process. It is a journey, and you will be forever learning, which is exciting, right? It doesn't like, oh, I've
Very.
got my master's degree, I can move on now. No, it is like there's always so much more to learn, and that's the reason why we get up today. What am I going to learn today?
You know what? And that's such a good point, because at the beginning I talked about we are not static beings. So
Mm,
don't have static ideas about who and what you are.
right.
Growth is the name of the game for you, for every single one of us. You are not a static being, so don't have static ideas. Oh, that's just who I am. I'm this way. No, you're not. You're way more.
Way more.
Allow that to happen. Unfold.
And also, please don't expect everybody around you, family or very good friends, to kind of really recognize this new person of you, because they're still going to see you from where they see you,
Sure.
from where they are at. They may not recognize this new person and you don't get frustrated with them. They're not there yet. Maybe they never will be there. I have 3 different children and each one of them look at me differently. This person that is speaking to you today really cannot speak to my children in that way because they have the expectation of what mother should be and don't see Sarah. They see mother, not Sarah. And
Hmm.
that's okay. That's okay because they're going to see me the way they need to see me. So if you've got people who will not see, but why don't you see? I'm so happy. That's fine. They see you happy. They know I'm happy. They know I love what I do. Uh, but don't expect them to understand.
No.
And don't judge them for not understanding. It's that they're just on a different journey to you and they're not there yet.
And that is why environment is so important. Seek out people who do understand, who
Yes,
want to see your growth and support
yes,
your growth. You have no idea how much environment has been impacting your success. All your listeners, mine too.
yeah,
And you've heard the famous Jim Rohn quote, right? We are the average of the 5 people we spend time with. It's
exactly,
so true. But and Sarah, that's such a great point to bring up. We can't expect others to change just because we are.
exactly,
They may, but they may not. And that's
exactly.
okay if they don't. Don't judge them. It just is. It just is. Nothing is positive or negative. It's our thinking that spins it one way or the other. So allow them to be the way they're going to be. Find people. It doesn't have to be masses, but find
Yeah,
2, 3, 4, 5 people that are on the vibe that you're on, and that'll make all the difference in the world.
exactly. And to the family that, or even the friends that I have, I
Mhm.
work with them on their channel,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
know they care for me. I know that I've got one who's never listened to a show I've done. She's done shows for me, but she's never listened to a show I've done. But she's one of my biggest advocates, right? And it's like
yeah,
she doesn't quite get it because she's not there, that she's not on that journey or that plane, but she's very happy with what she does in her life. So that's
yeah.
fine,
And that's
right?
just fine.
So you learn to shift your channels. And I'm going to communicate on that channel with you instead of demanding somebody come into your happy channel. Your
Right,
happiness is going to come through that channel to them anyway, but
right.
speak their language, so to speak. Don't demand
Yes.
that they now speak yours.
And the nice thing is another one of the universal laws, primary laws, is cause and effect. Whether you
Yes,
want to or not, you will have an effect, a positive effect. The more you're working on yourself, more authentic, so that you're happier, more fulfilled, able to contribute, it will absolutely have an effect on everyone around you to various degrees over shorter, longer times. You don't know, but absolutely it has to, by law, have an effect.
yeah.
So just work on yourself and
The
be in an
ripple effect,
environment of other
right?
people.
Yes,
Absolutely. Just
yeah,
watch what happens.
yes. That is, take ownership.
Mm,
The awareness again. Be aware, excuse me, be aware of what you're saying, how you're saying it, and what tone you're saying,
yeah,
because that is going to have an effect that may be bigger than what you intended to say. So
absolutely.
if you are
Agreed.
feeling frustrated, angst, or angry, maybe that's the time to go and take some time out and not speak in that moment, because you could go and impose that anger on someone else that could have a really negative effect and you didn't intend it to, you were just frustrated, right? So
Absolutely.
awareness,
Absolutely.
awareness. It does just because we're here in this wonderful sweet spot doesn't mean we don't have frustrating moments. It just means that
Absolutely.
they're short-lived because we know what to do about it.
Right.
But it also, that is a time to just go and take a break, take a breath, folks. Take a deep breath, go outside, release it, shake it off,
Right.
get back centered with yourself, then come back in.
Absolutely. Hi, put that little note up on your computer.
Yeah,
How's my vibe? You know
yeah,
what? If you have 5 outreach calls you want to do every morning and you make the first one and it sucks,
yes.
don't make the next calls. Do not.
No,
You're in a bad
no.
vibe. Don't make the next calls. But I got it. It's a new habit. I'm trying to do my. great. I want you to work on that habit of 5 new calls every morning. But don't make one when you're in a bad vibe.
No.
So do anything. And that's, that funk buster that I'm giving as a tool, help you get out of that funk, that bad vibe as quickly as possible, then make the calls. Contrary to that, when you're making your calls and you make a sale, make 5 or 10 more. You're in an amazing
Right.
vibe.
Right. Well, you are giving away 2 PDFs. And again, people can come to selfdiscoverywisdom.com and put in your name, Sandy Rutherford. And both of those and your book is here where people can go to Amazon to buy it, Navigating the High Seas of Success. We didn't even get to that. We were going to talk about that for a few minutes after this. But the Funk Buster and the Sweet Pot exercise are PDFs, and you can just download them. And, just this is your first step into making something a practice, getting into that right mindset. And then from there, you can reach out to Sandy and look at how she can help you propel yourself forward. But before we talk about what you're offering, just tell us a little bit about the book, love.
The book is called Navigating the High Seas to Success, high capital C, not SEA Ocean. And that is what the book looks like. And why I pulled this book together, I launched last October, and it became a bestseller in both motivation and self-help. I was delighted that self-help is a big category, so it became a bestseller on Amazon. And the whole reason for putting this book together was to bring all of the key learnings, because I spent, I trained with Bob Proctor, but great learnings from Tony, from Tony and Joe Dispenza and Mary Morrissey and Oprah, all of them. Great learnings. So where do you go for whom, for what learnings? So I decided to pull all of the learnings together, the key learnings together in one place. So you don't have to go to all these different places.
Right.
And there are 8 key concepts. They all happen to begin with the letter C. That's why it's the high C's. And there's a certain order. Success is definitely an exact science. There's a certain order to things that when you follow that order, you will speed up your ability, you accelerate your ability to succeed in whatever you're trying to do, personally or professionally. So the book is laid out in in 8 chapters where I talk about connection, clarity of desire, commitment, connectivity, collaboration, celebration. So it's all laid out in a certain order for you. And each chapter, by the way, it's a light read too. Yeah. It's a fun read. And each chapter offers quotes that are relevant to the concept in that chapter. Some of the quotes you'll definitely recognize, others you won't. And then each chapter finishes off with a quick assessment, not a scientific one, just a quick assessment to gauge where you are in terms of your awareness and application of that concept, and a quick exercise to start making use of that concept some more. So it's a neat book. I've had a lot of great feedback. And yes, it's available on Amazon, all of the different international Amazons.
I love these kind of books because sometimes you can just go to it. What do I need to know today? And you can just open up the book.
Yeah.
And it's going to take you to a quote or take you to a chapter. And you're going to go, yeah, I've got this call or this meeting today. And this particular reference at the present moment is something I need to know. It's putting me on the right vibe, right? So, whether you read it from front to back and you've got it there, but refer to it, when you feel at what do I need to know today? And I find that always is very apropos because it's always giving you something that you do need in that moment, right?
Absolutely, it is. As long as you're open to that. It's like,
yes.
What is it? There's something there for me. What is it?
Yeah. Again, don't dictate, allow. I don't like dictation at all. I like allow and be aware and, about this, the seeding and the watering and know your why. Why do you want to do it? Is it fame and glory? Wrong reason. If it's that you really want to make a difference in the lives of others in some way, in whatever way, then get into that car and drive forward, right?
Absolutely.
But now in help in where they're going and how they're going to get there, what kind of programming do you offer? And where do you offer it?
So if you go to my website at inspireddestinies.com, you can see our programs at the top tab. And so we have programs that will help you focus on the key components of mindset in order to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. Because, the bottom line is, and it depends on who you listen to, but I say at least 80%, if not more, is mindset. The rest is marketing and social media and operations and But where do we, in sales, where do we, when we're not succeeding, where do we tend to focus our time and energy?
Yeah.
I need more marketing. I'll take another sales course. Mindset. It's at
Yeah.
least 80% of the game. So our programs are all focused on mindset. I have a program called the Self-Image of Your Dreams, which is a phenomenal 10-week program that's focused on creating a self-image that lines up to support your dreams. Because our self-image, as we talked about earlier, it can only go as far as your self-image allows, and
Yes.
it needs to be strong enough, aligned with and strong enough to support your dream goals. But Sandy, I think I have a really good self-image, and I'm sure you do, especially you women. Us women, we have multiple roles in our lives. So you've got a great self-image as a mom, or you dads out there, right? As a parent, as a community leader, maybe in your children's school, previous jobs, coaching, coaching sports or whatever. You've got a really strong self-image in lots of different areas. But dream goals, where dream goals are concerned, that's where the self-image, 99% of the time, even for highly successful people, they set really big new goals. They have to get that self-image lined up as well. So
Yes.
the self-image of your dreams is a high-powered, high vibe, forward-looking. We're not digging up the past. Beautiful 10-week program that has some one-on-one coaching in there as well, and that's on the website. There's another program called the Fast Path to Success, which is how success works. It's an online program. There's 5 different modules. There's a workbook there, and it's the order in which success, the components of success unfold. So it's laid out there for you. It's a fabulous high vibe program as well. Everything I'm doing is high vibe, obviously. I have the bigger ticket item is called the Unstoppable Success System, and that is a combination of the Thinking into Results program from Bob Proctor, which I'm certified to deliver from the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And Bob Proctor's Thinking into Results Success System is most of us would tell you it's the best in the world. It's all the components of success in order, in terms of your mindset. So that program, as well as a self-image, as well as a goal achievers forum, another component is the Unstoppable Success System, and that involves a lot more one-on-one coaching with me.
I'm a very spiritual person, so very much in tune with the soul, heart, and spirit. But if my mind gets in the way, it stops the soul from giving me the wisdom.
Right.
So everything starts with the mind. The mind needs to give permission or the allowance so it can get out of the way so that you can start being in tune and listen to the guidance, listen to the wisdom that is going to lead you on that road to success.
Yes.
When I allow my mind to think too much, instead of me feeling my thoughts, thinking my thoughts, will step into doubt. Right? But when I feel my thoughts, I step into clarity. Right.
Absolutely true.
But it's all about the mind there. And really, quite honestly, our mind, however old we are, has been operating on a certain level for so long. Right. It would take, it takes a lot of repetition to kind of shift the mind out of one way of thinking for it naturally to step into another. And so you need, again, give it that gift of time, of persistence, of commitment, and of the desire to want you to be in control of your mind not to be in control of you.
Yes, absolutely. And and you can speed up the amount of time, because you're absolutely right. Repetition is the mother of all learning. It's no quick fix on this. No. But you can speed up the time, for example, to create new self-image programming that supports your goal. You can speed that up. How? Clarity of desire. All success begins with desire. If you are crystal clear and you're really passionate, you do that sweet spot. I'm loving what I'm doing. I know I'm good at it. I really want to get better. I know it's helping people. It's a lot quicker to get your programming shifted over into alignment with that. So again, that's why there's certain things you do in a certain order, but it does take time. But when you have the proper things to work on and understand how to work on them, you can accelerate how much time that takes.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, when I started this, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I'd be good at it. I didn't even know if I would enjoy it. I just, as I said right at the top of the hour there, I'm willing to explore. And so, as I said, the first few shows, really the first 13 months was, it got me hooked in the sense of the people that I'm interviewing and what they had to share and what I learned from them, being the best therapy I've had in 11 years of all of these shows. It's also been the biggest inspiration. And when you watch the news of how loathsome we can be as a human race. And then I do these interviews of how awesome we can be as a human race. This is the reason for me to get up every day and not call it quits, is because I know there are so many more good people than there are
Yes.
people that are in the negative vibe. And I want those good people to be heard, seen, felt, and out there helping people. But I didn't know I wanted this when I started it. So don't think that you're going to have the desire straight away. You've got a desire to find something that means something to you.
Absolutely.
So you've got to be willing to explore various avenues, even way outside of your comfort or your box. And then you will find what gets into you and go, I'm hooked. I love this. This has become a desire. And then how do you take that desire into something else?
Yeah. Dream goals are outside the comfort zone. Bottom
They
line.
are. Yes.
You got to go there.
Yes.
You got to get comfortable.
You don't know what you're good at until you try it.
No.
Right. And as I said, my first show was a Monty Python skit. I'm dating myself here. I pressed all the wrong buttons and nobody could hear me. And then again, I would have shows where people would get dropped and I'm leaving the guests there while I'm trying to get back in, or vice versa, or people not turning up. But it was a great training ground because it showed me resilience and ability. And the other thing I do, and people say, do you edit? And I go, only if it's a real big faux pas. Otherwise, we own it. Mistakes are going to happen. Faux pas are going to happen, especially if you've got anything called the internet involved. Right?
Yeah, well, and working from home with dogs and kids, and I've had a lot of fun with that because I do a lot of lives as well, and something will happen. I go, hold on,
yep,
okay, sorry about that. Oh well, what do you do?
Right? Own it. It's like if you are looking for, it's got to be perfect. I guarantee you'll never succeed because you're so tied up in your idea of what perfection is that you're so wound up tight, you're not allowing anything to flow.
Right.
Are you also going to make everybody else around you uncomfortable?
Yeah, because that's not a good vibe.
No.
That's a tense vibe.
Oh, God. Who wants to be around that?
Yeah.
You want to be around people on your same wavelength that want to flow along with you, right?
Exactly. So don't watch the news. Watch C.R.A.P and all of her great shows here.
Well, yeah, get the inspiration from here, like from people like Sandy who are there. The thing is, what I love about what I do, you've been there, you've done it, now you're sharing it. This isn't something that you went and got in a manual in a book and now you're out there teaching. You've lived it.
Yes.
You've lived it, you've learned it, and now you've collaborated it into something that shares it. And that is, that what inspired you, invited you to now share it out with others, which is the best kind of wisdom you can get, folks. Those that have gone down that path before you, really. So the site again is inspireddestinies.com. You can also reach Sandy at sandyinspireddestinies.com. She's on Facebook.
Sandy at inspireddestinies.com.
Yes, right. And Facebook, Inspired Destinies. And on LinkedIn, it's Sandy Rutherford, RUTHERFORD. And so please do reach out. Get the book as well. I'm always saying that a book is the greatest gift you can give to people, even if they don't pick it up straight away. Like, oh, yeah, that's very nice. But it's sitting there. And one day that book is in their face.
Yeah.
I guess it's time to pick up this book, and that means they're ready to read it. I'm a big one of having book clubs and discussing what the book means to you, but I'm also a big one on podcast clubs. Listen to the same podcast, have a discussion afterwards, share what you each got from it, and that expands that wonderful knowledge and wisdom that each person has got. Let's share the wisdom, folks. So share the show, share out Sandy's information, reach out to Sandy if you're on that path of your own self-discovery. We all need help. We're not meant to do it on our own. It's so much harder to do it just on our own. There are people who have taken the journey before you. They know what they're doing, and they're here out of the same commitment and passion to see you succeed.
And our motto is together we thrive, because we do.
We do.
And it's way more fun doing it together.
It is. It's not only that somebody's got your back or is propelling you forward or even grabbing you and pulling you forward. It's also about the celebration when you get there. Or even the little celebrations along the way.
All along the way.
Yes.
All along the way. Always celebrate. It's one of my chapters. Celebrate.
Yes, exactly.
Every night. Yeah.
And there's two C's I don't like is competition and comparison. I do not like them in the very competition, leave to games, leave to contests, not competition in life with someone else, and do not compare yourself to someone else.
No, I love the quote, amateurs compete,
Yes.
professionals create.
Yeah, I
So
like
just
that.
focus on creating. Don't worry
Yeah.
about competition.
No.
Focus on creating more and more of who and what you are.
Yes.
Competition will look
Who
after
and
itself.
what you are and what your gift is to share.
Right.
Not somebody else's gift. They're doing that. They're taking what you'll get, even if it is something in the same line, but you doing it differently, you're going to reach people out in your frequency, in your vibration. There's plenty to go around,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
There are billions of people in this planet that are all needing help.
Absolutely. And because we all do.
We do. We're
Yeah.
not meant to do it alone. We are meant to do it together.
Yeah.
That's what community is all about.
Yes.
Right? Thank you, Sandy. This has been absolutely wonderful.
Sarah, thank you so much. It's been a real privilege.
Oh, privilege right over here. Love having all this wonderful energy here. And not just the wisdom that you've shared or the book or anything else, but just the open door that you've got for people who are ready to take that next level. And,
Yeah.
again, when the person's walked the path and you've gathered all the information from your own experience, I don't care how many degrees somebody has, or masters, or the BBs, the DDs, or any of these behind their name, there is nothing better than somebody's life experience being put into something that is now going to be shared with you.
Absolutely true. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, on that note, folks, I wish you all well. And until next time, bye for now. Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life.